Now I hope we're back again. I'm sorry. Yep, we dropped for some reason. So it's Friday night. So we'll see here what happens. So yep. So I hope you can hear us and see us again. Yep. And the difficult bit is that we have to wait 10 seconds before you get any answers in chat. So yep.
I thought that you could shorten that down a little bit
That might
to
be
like a low latency response time.
okay. Yeah. But now everything looks okay. Yeah, good. We're back. Yep. Because now we
Okay,
get
cool.
no dropped frames and we get green. Yeah, everything looks green, so that's good. Yep. Oh, thank you, Anghamad. Your first subscriber. Awesome. So we'll yeah, so we'll work on it, and this is fun to do on Friday. So that means that we will actually do work instead of slacking off doing something else. So I'm just gonna let this render go around and go to its end, and then do some screenshot of this, and we're going to take a peek and take a look, and then we'll see if send that to Jay and see if he's happy with that or not. So you will get the first chance to see what might be the basis of the Altamira city. And then I have to go in, and after that we have to go in after the render and actually make sure it's the right size too. So I'll try and tweak the scale of this. So I need to, I have somewhere I have the resolution set here. I have a note of that somewhere. I need to see if I can find it.
What resolution are you working at, Anna?
That's that's the thing. It's the resolution. I want to have resolution 5 feet per 1 pixel 5 feet, but what that actually means in World Machine, how many meters per? Because I work in large scale, so it's kind of, I think it's 7 meters per it's 4 times the resolution, so it's 7 meters per meter, so to speak, or something weird. I have the notification, and I keep forgetting how much it is, because I've enlarged the terrain 4 times, and then it's 1.5 feet per, or 5 feet per pixel, but 4 times in meters, and it with that resolution. So it's kind of a formula that is really tricky. So let's see here. No, that was not the one I'm looking for. I probably need to open it again and look at it, and then do a new. Oh, I think that's a question for Alyssa. I think she's using a Wacom a pen like this in order to do the drawing. So she uses and you drawing on your Wacom screen, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's basically a monitor that's about this big,
Mm-hmm.
and you can play games on it and everything, but it will lie flat, and you can draw directly on it. So I'm actually drawing in Photoshop using the Wacom pen here. So it has that nice tactile ink on paper feel. You have that direct response. You're not kind of disconnected with a little tablet off to one side. And that's why it looks completely hand drawn and all wonky
Mm-hmm.
like, because it is.
Yeah.
That the picture behind me was drawn ink on paper. And I like that feel. I like that. That's my roots right there. So what you see on the screen with one of them, this is the digital version, but I'm approaching it in exactly the same way. You can even see these soft gray lines in the background. That's effectively me doing pencil lines that I get rid of later on. They're my guides.
Yep. And here we have, this is what it looks like. I'm going to put my desktop just for the moment. I'm going to move that one there we and so here is the this is the what the city
Is that where the
base.
city's going to be?
Yep, on that flat area here. So I've created that flat bit of terrain to put the city. So it was like a rounded hilltop, and then they decided that was a strategic, cool place to build a city. So they basically chopped off the top of the hilltop and then leveled that and built the city on top of it.
Is the road pretty much on the angle where you're viewing it from right now, coming up the hills behind?
Yeah, I think there will be two roads up. There will be one on this way going sideways up here on the level, and then there will be one zigzagging here from this direction.
What sort of elevation is that?
This one is probably, I would guess it's probably about 600 feet or so, or 800 feet up. No,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so
no,
cool.
sorry, about 2,000 feet. I'm
2,000 feet.
Yeah. So about 600 meters above the surrounding the river down there, the Jewel River, that is basically almost at sea level. So it's probably about 600 meters up from there. So it's quite a step up, so to speak. So you have to zigzag back and forth. But on the other hand, it's it's easy to fortify. It's hard to get to. It's a very defensible position. You can see for miles, and you have it. Previously it was just round, and now I've actually made it look more natural. So I made it bulge in and out, so to speak. I also, before the cliffs around it were very, very steep, I kind of made them a little bit more graduated, so it blends in with the hill, so it looks like a natural hill that has been shaved off. And then there is another hill next to it here that could be like a keep or something, other defensible position next to it. So now I'm going to take a couple of screenshots, and I realize I need to reboot my work computer because my Wacom and stuff USB doesn't work, so I need to reboot that. So, but that is okay because I have the stream from another computer here. So there we go. I think that's so. Now I'm going to take some here, and then I'm going to save this. And now I'm going to stop sharing my desktop here for a moment, and you have to keep looking at Alyssa's awesome work while I'm rebooting this computer.
While I draw hedgerows live on Twitch.
Okay, yep. Because it doesn't work, and I've tried before to test. I forgot to test this, but the good thing is that I can reboot this without touching the stream. That's the only thing is I will lose my mouse while I'm doing this, because my mouse and keyboard is actually on this machine. So now I can just hope and pray that it will work for the next 2 minutes or 3 minutes while it's rebooting. Yep. Yeah, thank you, Angamarand. Yep, thank you so much for. Yep, it's kind of cool. And when that is textured properly and there's buildings and stuff like that on top, I think it will look really, really cool. So this is only the second step, so to speak. The first step is to do the actual elevation of the terrain. The second is to put the splat map in there, and the splat map is just a raw splat map. That needs to be edited too, because we need to figure out where roads go, and we need to figure out where the farmland and what is open meadow, so to speak, grassland, and what is forest and stuff. So I need to split that up a bit more and work on that a little bit in Photoshop. So, but first, Jay needs to sign off and say that the landscape or the elevation is good enough. So,
Anna, you were saying that the render times are like 20 odd hours on that.
Yeah.
So, can you do anything while it's rendering? Do you have another machine that you can work off or anything?
Oh yeah, I have the machine that I do the streaming on, and I have my laptop, and I can do light other work, so to speak. So I can answer emails, and often I sit and do my campaign plotting and stuff like that, and I can do light Photoshop work, but I can't once I load a big file in Photoshop, I take up RAM, and that's not good. So I should stay away from the computer. So what I usually do is I start it in the afternoon when it gets too hot and I get tired, and then I let it run overnight and into the next morning, so to speak. So then I do a lot of the reading. So I sit down and take notes and do research for Legends and Lore shows and stuff like that. So, but I'm really keen on getting a really beefy computer, because then I can basically render something all the time, or at least one render almost every day. So that way I will speed it up, and not only I can render because I can work and render at the same time, but the renders will also go much faster. One of the reasons it takes so long is not that my CPU is slow, it's that I don't have enough RAM, so it needs to swap to hard drive, and I don't have really fast SSDs that are big enough, because my old machine can't take that. It can only do SATA SSDs, not the really super fast ones that are you hook up to PCIe, or the to
Yeah, like the NVMe
yeah, exactly,
twos.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what mine's running right now.
Yeah, so my new machine, I'm going to put a couple of 4 terabyte of these super fast SSDs in there, and RAID them together and use them as a swap file. And that alone will cut down the render maybe in half. So instead of 20, it will be down to 12 or 10 just by that. And then add more beefier CPU, might cut it down. So instead of 20 something hours, it might be 5 hours.
Hasn't it come a long bloody way where a SATA drive you go, I don't want one of them.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago having a couple of badass SATA drives.
Oh yeah.
You were the bomb.
Yep. I have a 2 terabyte SATA SSD in this one, and that was fantastic 5 years ago. That was the best that money could buy. It cost like $800 or something, or 1,000 just for that. But so it's kind of, yeah. So now my machine is up and running. Now I just need to get the share up and running again here.
So, truth be told, Anna, I actually used this old machine for a long time, and I used to build my own computers and everything, just like you, and I love doing it. And I stopped for like a long time. I actually worked for a company where they built them, and we would ship them out to customers and stuff. I got super familiar with it, but ever since about 2004. I was like, I don't want to do it anymore, because all your friends and your family are asking you to do it, and I'm like, screw this. I'm just not doing it anymore. And I stopped for like about 12 years, maybe more. And it was only recently, literally within the last couple of years, where I started it because of the Corona or COVID. I actually started watching YouTube videos, and I started watching like these hardware shows. And you could, the night and day in that like 16-year period. And I was like, what the hell hardware am I looking at? Right
Meaning
now?
It's starting to
blew my brain.
Yeah, it's exotic. So yep. Screen and share.
We've gone full circle though too. People with the cool cases and like LED lights on the inside and stuff. Like 16 years ago, it wasn't that.
Uh-oh. Let's see.
Uh-oh. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, hang on a second. There we go. So that should now hopefully work. Monitor 1. No, it doesn't work yet. So hang on a second. So
Hardware troubles, Anna?
no, not hardware troubles. Now it's my desktop that's not viewable. So now I need to hang on a second. I need to put that back in, and instead of push, I need to put view in there, and it should work. That is very, very weird. That's what I usually do, and now it doesn't work. Now it works. Okay, perfect. Got it to work. So, and then we can put that under your desktop. There we go. So, okay. So now I had the... Now I need to start doing that. So I'll send those to Jay afterwards. So let's see what we can find with the heraldry of the city heraldry and catch up on that. And get that done, the last bit here. I had Womtham, but maybe that was updated and done. But I haven't done the city of Womtham. We had some discussions on that, but I can't really remember. Let's see, source files here.
I'm looking forward to seeing what the next city is, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I have no idea at this juncture.
Okay.
I think I could even potentially throw out suggestions to Greyhawk Online.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I put in way more detail on this than I thought I would. I couldn't resist. It was meant to be 20 times simpler than this.
Mm-hmm. So there we have the... Okay, so but you have the Womtham shield, do you?
Yes, down in the bottom left-hand corner.
Okay, perfect. You have that one.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I've got that one.
Yep. Then we leave it at that for the moment. So then I'll go back to editing.
Yeah, because worst case, I mean, we run with like this regional shield, but wouldn't it be cool if on every city map we've got there like the regional and the city heraldry, if
Yeah,
appropriate?
that's the thing. We should kind of look into it. But we had an idea, but now I can't remember where I put the sketch for that, because I remember we talked about it and we had a sketch for it. So
I don't even remember us talking about it.
oh yeah, we talked about it, but I'll find that to next week, and I'll fix it during the week. So yeah, that's not something to... I should not sit and look through all my folders during the during the stream here. So
I always feel very conscious, self-conscious, digging through folders. I feel like it's an inappropriate thing to be doing on a stream. Not only is it probably very dry subject matter, but I'm always like,
yeah.
am I revealing something security-wise that I shouldn't be?
So make sure that I share the right thing. I was sharing my desktop, and that's kind of boring to just look at. So yeah, there we go.
Here's 2 hours of Anna sharing her desktop.
Yeah. So now I'm opening. So now it will be some more splat map editing. It's boring, but it's one of these things that is really necessary. A lot of my work right now is doing splat maps. So this is to edit down and fix the the next area. I have a whole bunch of these. I have like 5 or 6 of them that needs to be edited, and then I can just render the final textures and then do the updates. So right now I need to replace this is the new div, and that is classified when it comes to textures, and in World Machine it's classified as an ocean. So it's basically on ocean surface level, and it's big and flat. And these small ones in here, I need to make them lakes instead, because otherwise they cut into the terrain unnecessary. So therefore I need to go in here, and sometimes I just need to, yeah, I need to go in here and just remove the ocean here, so to speak, and these can be ocean because there will be I need to fix the because you don't want any blur when it comes to this. You want one color or the other. The blur comes in the final texture, so to speak. Hi Garamond, welcome. Good to see you again. Oops, that was not good, so I'm going to keep that.
Anna, what is the technology of Greyhawk from an era perspective? Like, are we talking like late Dark Ages? Are we talking early medieval? Are we like, what do the ships look like, for example?
I would
What sort of era are they
yeah,
in?
it's not really defined that it's not defined formally, so to speak. So I think most DMs go from like medieval, and it also depends on different parts, but I would guess from like early medieval to early Renaissance, like up until just before the gunpowder era. And there are even some DMs who have gunpowder in, but most I don't think have gunpowder in, so to speak. So late medieval and to early Renaissance is probably
Okay,
what,
so
yeah.
I mean, if I drew some ships in here that were
Hmm.
multi-masted and were reminiscent of like an early sailing ship, that would be okay.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Oh
Okay.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, and since you have magic and other parts, so I would, I and also it's spread, meaning I would have backwater area of that are Iron Age kind of like 2,000-year-old technology rather than 1,000-year-old technology, or like 600-800 years old. So it spans over quite a span, but it's each individual DM. But if you do it something like late medieval, I think it will be, everybody would really like it.
All right.
Okay, now I need to. So there is quite a bit of this work, so I just have to figure out which. Oh, there is the. So what I need to remove this bit here, and then I go in. Now I control click here, and then I go into rivers, and then I can actually paint in rivers here, this bit here. Comes the check that I don't use any scattering or effect like that. So here we go, and I connect these bits there. Oops, it's jittery. There we go. These are probably okay to have there. I got some other lines that they happened by mistake in another map further closer to Crit Wall, and I realized they are actually across a bog, so they look just like in the real world when they back in the day when they used peat as fuel. They dug these trenches and extracted peat from the bogs in long lines, and those lines that were across the map looked just like it. So I'm going to keep those lines and kind of texture them and say that those are actually peat extraction areas. And here is a couple of them that are across for another reason. So I'm not sure but I'm going to keep them and then come up with some reason to have them there. And they're actually a bunch of holes. So volcanoes, some other weird things. So I will come up with some explanation and make them into a site. These are also cutting holes, so I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them as holes or not, but I think I'll do, just to for the heck of it, so to speak, for fun. But here are some that I will actually turn into lakes proper, so they will not cut holes that are too deep.
I need ideas for what would be on the central island.
Okay, a watchtower or something so you can shoot with bows and crossbows and stuff at ship traffic. And also to have a garrison to man the bridge and stuff, I think would be appropriate. Would that be good property, you think, for someone to service ship traffic or take in tolls and stuff like that, or keep an eye on things? Would someone wants to live there because it's kind of cool to live halfway across, or should it just be? Is it just a piece of sand that floods over when the springtide comes or is it an island?
I made it a little bit more permanent than that because
Yeah.
I figured that it was a foundation for the bridge going across, and you can
Yeah.
see I've actually got some little ramps coming down
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From the bridge. So I figure something should be here. I just
Yeah.
don't know what that something is. I do have a little fortification on the bridge to the south,
Ah, there
or
you
the
go.
island to the south.
Yeah.
And maybe there should be something, up the top here.
Yeah.
Maybe like a round keep overlooking like the traffic
Mm-hmm.
on the river. I
Yeah.
feel like there should be something on the island, something that would require ramps up and down.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
If it's hot real estate, it will be full of things. Meaning there could be like a shopping area or something like there's that bridge in Italian city. Oh, now I forgot. That had all the houses across, so to speak, like you have there. And since you have the housing across, then why don't extend those shopping quarters from not only the bridge but the island as well?
Yeah, I could dig it. I could dig it. Bring it down a little bit. Right, so a keep and shops.
Yeah. And this is the Scragholm Island, the very northern bit of it. On this end here, so. Oh, a prison. Gribbly thinks a prison might be an idea. What do you think about that, Alyssa?
Oh, that's an interesting concept.
Yeah?
That's an interesting concept.
And hi, Gribbly, by the way. Thank you so much for stopping by.
But now I almost want to make the southern one a prison-like. But that's an interesting concept. Like
Yeah.
away from the city.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we have Jay here. So now I'm going to show Jay the latest
Hi, Jay.
screenshots that I did. So hang on a second. Hope he hasn't gone into lurk mode too early here. So I'm going to show some screenshots. So here are some screenshot of the updated. Hang on a second. Let me. I'm going to put my desktop. Yeah. So here is a look at the Altamira. I've lowered the base a little bit, and it's not perfectly round anymore. It has some features and stuff. And here it is from a slightly different angle. So here you see it a little bit on top. So it has more of a feature of it's not as sharp. The actual mountain base is a little bit more tapered. So it's more natural surrounding it. And then we have here it is from the other angle, seen from the south. So okay, thank you, Jay. Yep. So this is kind of cool. Now it looks a bit more like a natural rock. That before it was perfectly round. Now it's kind of done to look a bit more natural. And here we have slightly more from above, so to speak. And I lowered it a little bit too. So yeah. So that's what it is, so to speak. And we're good with that. Then I'll render it in high resolution, and then we can firmly move into doing splat maps for that next week. So you can have that next week. So now I'm just going to go in here and paint over some of the okay, awesome. Have fun and say hi to the Greycast crew. Yep. I'm just gonna go over the coastline here and see if I have any more little lakes and stuff that are here, or a bunch of them. So I'm going to change them back into lake color so we don't get any deep holes. And then it's time to look over the coast and start getting that painted in the right getting the coastline. There's a lot of grass here that needs to be removed and stuff, so I'm going to work on that next. But it's always good to take one of these little things at a time. So okay, I think that part is now done. I think I caught them all. Yep. Now it's time to then go in and fix the near div shoreline. So I'm going to save here and then go in and fix that next. So are you still on your little huts and stuff?
Oh yeah, that's got to be. I'm just doing the sprawl on the west side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
from the population growth. I'm just going to do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Then farms on the west side, and ink done. I had a big, huge, like a hippodrome here.
Mm-hmm.
And it drew criticism, so I'm like, screw it, I'll get rid of it.
Criticism? They didn't like the hippodrome?
It was someone on the webinets. It was someone on the internet. You know how it goes sometimes.
Oh, yes.
I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to have the conversation that in ancient Athens, they had temples and a big, huge hippodrome outside the city walls. I don't want to have that conversation with people. That was my inspiration for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, one of them is only 20,000 people.
That's true. Yeah.
Beginning to feel big already.
Yeah.
If I start doing big, huge hippodromes, it's stuff like that.
Exactly. It's a significant city, but it's not a huge metropolis. It's not Rome. It's Florence rather than Rome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of throttled. I've already got theaters and stuff in here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's enough entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need any more than that.
Yeah.
If you want any more entertainment, maybe they have swimming races across the river.
But it looks fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's going to be a lovely entry into the Greyhawk City series.
Definitely. You could realize that now you will hooked. Community will put their claws in you and force you to do stuff constantly. No. Yeah.
Well, the plan is every quarter, my friend. Every quarter,
mm-hmm.
you got to do a new one.
Yep. And Jay keeps saying that. Yeah. Are you not entertained? It's like the call for the gladiators. Yep. Okay, so now I need to, let's start from the northern end now and work over the bits here. And there's like these little fuzzy edges here. So now I need to start doing a little bit of
A fussy edge.
yeah, it's a fuzzy edge here between
Uh,
the green and the blue. And splat maps, I don't want fuzzy edges. There should clear single colors, so to speak. So I need to get it. So that's why I'm
so
using
what's the process that you're going to do to fix that?
I'm just gonna paint. I'm using the mask. I'm just gonna paint with a pencil that is pure white, or and on the mask, so to speak. So pure white. So it will be pure one or the other colors. It's only like, what is it, like 6 or 8 different colors for different terrain, and no in between. That comes in on the texture stage. But at this stage, I want clear one or the other. But I want some scattering and some shape dynamics, and then we can go in here and, yeah, like that. So here I get a coastline that is, I'm just gonna go in here and just, this way I get like a natural coastline like this. And then sometimes I will do the other way around. I will paint green and add in. Yep. See you, Jay. Thank you for stopping by.
Hi, Jay.
Yeah, and we need a guest. I'll ask around the ones that we asked before and see if they want to come around, because we have.
Oh, for next week.
Yeah. There we go. Now I should keep an eye here on the flat mask. There should be a flat mask here somewhere. Didn't I have the flat mask? No, I didn't. I forgot to import the flat mask. So that means that I need to import the flat mask from the other one. So now I need to open a previous one here. Greyhawk. And this is number 4. 4.8. Open. And this is where you need the really, really fast SSDs to do stuff like this, because it's not too big yet. I think it's probably about 8 or 9 gigabytes so far. But the more layers I add, the bigger the file will be. So I'll take a little bit of water in the meantime here. And so far the stream seems to hold up. I get green lights everywhere, so we had that hiccup, but the good thing, we could restart it. So no dropped frames. And I could even reboot my computer, which was a blessing. I didn't have to restart the stream. Oops. There we go. You came and went. It's not that you come and go. It's that when you sit still, the filter, the zoom thinks that you're sitting so still, so you become part of the background. So
Me?
yeah, you make a stealth roll, and then you disappear, and it becomes just clouds, and then you come back again, and it's awesome. Yep.
Really?
Yeah, you made your stealth roll. You kind of going behind the clouds. It looks really cool. So the clouds kind of seep through, and you disappear into the mist. Yep, the cartography mist. Yep. It looks really cool. Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to get another layer, and now I need to remember what the heck I was opening this file for. But oh yeah, the flat mask. There we go. Yep. So I need to get the flat mask. So how many of these little buildings? Hi Troy, welcome. Yep. So how many of these little sheds and stuff? There must be hundreds.
Yeah, I'm not going to count them, but I have people out there who will. And because someone did that on my Light Harbor map that I did, and I'd done something like 4,500 buildings or something on
On
it.
that map alone? Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So this one is smaller, but there's probably there has to be a bunch, right? There has
Well,
to be a bunch
it's a
of
couple
buildings
of
on this
thousand
thing.
buildings already, I'm sure. Yeah. But it,
So
yeah, sorry.
let's say a couple of thousand buildings.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's probably about. I think I know. I think it feels about right for 20,000. What do you think?
Oh yeah, because not all there's more meaning a lot of the poor people they live 10 people to a building, but then you also have a lot of buildings that are people are not living in, like temples and a lot of merchant buildings, warehouses and a whole bunch of stuff. So I would say at least 1/3 of the buildings are utility buildings and not where people live in. And a lot of rich people they have big buildings with only a few people in them, and then you have a lot of smaller buildings with lots of people in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if you can have way that you should have at least have 5,000-6,000 buildings in a city of 20,000. That yeah, because there's a lot of work
I bet I don't have that many.
no, but you can at least have a couple of thousand. That's what I think you should have, so to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah.
Okay, now I need to find, here we have the flat mask. And the cool thing in Photoshop is that once you, hang on a second, I'm going to put my my desktop on top here for a second here. So one of the cool things you can do in Photoshop is that I have two files here. I need to get this layer here, and I can hide that here. So this layer, I need to get that to the other one. And the easiest way to do it is just right clicking here and duplicate layer, and then just say I want to have it on the other file. And boom, you don't have to copy and paste, and it will just and put it in, and voila, it's in there. So now I just need to make sure there are no other layers I want to have. Um, no, I'll skip it for now. I think that's it. So okay, so here we have the flat mask, and then I can change that to lighten and make sure that it's, and now I can just take a peek, so I'm making sure that I don't paint the shoreline in. And when I see that, I should probably done the other way around. So what I do here, I remove the, instead of painting more sea in, what I'll do, I should probably do the other way around when I look at the flat mask, just to be sure. So I go in here and put that on top. So here we have splat. Now I should take one for, I should make one for sand here, so I can add some more beach. And then first I'll create a white, I fill it with white. That was not really necessary, I realize that now. Now I should collect the sand color here. Copy. And then I should go in here and just do color overlay. There we go. And now I can just rasterize the layer style, and then I put so now I can actually use this and go in and paint some I will paint over with some sandy beaches here instead. Oops, that is too much, too wide. I just need to, there we go. The good thing with beaches is that they don't need to be flat, but they often are flat, but not completely flat. So that's why they are good to have beaches in most areas here. So occasionally I can take a peek here and see that the it's I need to extend it out here a bit and make sure, because I don't want to have border surface where there is when the map is not flat. So that's why I need to make sure that I extend it out, but I don't want to have grassland all the way out. So a beach, especially when you have a river this wide, there should be beaches or mud and stuff. So I will use sand, and then I can go in and change some of this texture when I paint over the final texture map. I can paint in muddy, and I would change color so the sand doesn't have the same color all the time. It's more kind of, sometimes it's more brown muddy colors, and sometimes it's more pure white sands and stuff. But for the splat map, it all is the white sandy color. So then I make sure that I take a little bit up and down. And now I think this is a little bit too small, so I'm going to increase the size a little bit. Here we go. Oh, Elisa, what are the buildings you're drawing some trees around? That's Monmalku.
Oh,
And
so you know, obviously one of them had some origins in what elven and dwarven races, and it was Anna's suggestion a short while ago, and it was a good one to ensure that even though the humans have taken over, to ensure that there's little areas that have got these elven and dwarven sort of influences or still roots. And so back in the heart of the city, I kind of almost imagine this elven ambassador still. Like I've sort of got an elven compound in here.
that's a
Across
great
the
idea.
road, I've got a dwarven one, a little dwarven fortress in the heart of the city near the barracks, actually.
Yeah.
So, but then I was like, outside the city, we should have some other things. So I've got a little circle stones here, and I thought, maybe there's this ancient elven building outside of town that is just out of bounds. You're just not allowed to chop this place down because obviously it's a big, huge logging industry. So I'm going to have this copse of trees
Like
that
a little
are,
nature reserve out there or
yeah,
something.
a nature reserve, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
all fenced off. But
Cool.
then right up to the fence,
Yeah.
there's farms and deforestation. But that have this little sort of pocket of where, I don't know, something elven and important is going on in there.
Cool.
And
Yeah.
you guys will tell me what that is. I like to put things on my maps where you decide. The GM decides, the players are curious. I don't have a story behind everything. I just sow the seeds.
That's a great idea. And welcome, Michael, and thank you so much for the game last night. That was great. Yep.
I'm also adding insult to injury on this one because if there is something very important and reverent to the elves here, I'm putting a logging industry within sight of it.
Yeah. That was what the Iridians did when they invaded this place 1,000 years ago. Yeah. And I'm working on the Nirdiv Veng River shoreline here on the northern side. So I'm tweaking this to make it get the shoreline straight here. So I'll add in some more grass and stuff in here too. So, but first I'm getting the water line here straightened out.
So, Anna, before the show, you were talking about AI
Yeah.
art. What have you been doing? You said you were experimenting with it a little bit. What have you been up to?
I've been doing character portraits for my campaign. I've done some magic items for my campaign, and I've done some tests for some interior art and stuff. I've done the what my works if I had an office in Greyhawk, what it will look like in game, so to speak, or in instead or wherever I want
Was
to have
that
it.
that thing you posted on Facebook?
Yep.
Get out because that picture was incredible.
Yep, that's AI art. It took 5 minutes to do in AI. Yep.
I loved that picture.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's awesome. Yep.
Holy heck! You should bring that up on chat. Let people
Oh,
see it because
sure.
it
Yep.
is a an incredible picture.
Yep.
I had no idea that you did that in AI.
Yep. That was AI.
Right. Okay.
So hang on a second here. So I did some library pictures or like a workspace where. So here it is. So here is the picture from. And let me just.
Yeah, to do full screen or
Yeah,
something
I
on
do
that.
full
Let people
screen
see.
on that one. So here. So this is a picture using the Midjourney AI, and it took me this one. I was fiddling around at the beginning, so maybe it took me a half hour of I have a number of trial and errors. So there are some other cool ones like this one, for instance. So you have like I have a whole library now, so I have a whole
They're
workspace.
brilliant, Anna.
Yeah,
They're brilliant.
so you feed it a bunch of cool stuff, so you get like little
Explain the process. What do you know? What do you
first.
feed it,
Yeah,
and what do you? How do you fiddle with it?
first you feed it text. You tell it, I want to see an orc, half orc, barbarian, blah blah, standing in a forest or whatever. And then you get four low resolution images, and then you can tell it like, like number one and number three, or like number one best. And then you can tell it, I want to have four different versions of that image, and then you can simply go from there, so to speak, and you can keep iterating until you're happy with it, and or change the text, and then when you're happy you upscale it, and boom, you get something cool. And
That is
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, I've done some villains for my Greyhawk campaign, and here is one of the villains for my Greyhawk campaign. And here is another cool low resolution of some of the villains for my Greyhawk campaign. And yeah, you can do some really cool stuff. You can do stuff like this, a wood carving. Yep. So like an elven tree wood carving.
Holy heck!
Yep. You can do basically, and I'm going to show you something that will really blow your mind. Hang on a second here. If you want to have like a cool magic tome for your game,
Now, do you have to feed it styles or
if
artists
you
or
want to, you
anything?
can even feed it an image. You can feed it a URL to a JPEG, and then it will use that as an input. Yeah. So you can kind of, yeah. So you can, and you it can do here. Here's a kind of a cool, if you want to have like an orc portrait for your campaign.
Wow.
And now I'm going to show you the coolest thing ever. Here, one of the here is another one. You want to have a druid for your campaign with a green halo? You can have that, and you can have it's something it's super good at. Cute little fake creatures. It's an expert at cute little fake creatures. If you want cute little fake creatures, it can make you an army of cute little fake creatures. It can, and the other cool thing is you can see what others are doing. I didn't do this one. I just took it from the feed, so to speak. So what you do, unless you pay for a commercial exclusive thing, otherwise what you feed others can see, and I can see what others do, and I can use that too, so to speak. So it's, yeah. So it's and there's tons of these little cool things, so to speak. But you can do character portraits one after the other. So it's not super good at eyes yet, but it's getting
I
it.
noticed that in the
Yeah.
ones that I've been seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit, but that's something you can touch up. If you're decent with Photoshop, you can touch up stuff like that afterwards. But you can also do super cool things like if you want a page in a spell book or something, you can do like this. You can do like a parchment with mineral descriptions in a fantasy script and stuff like that. It's really cool. You can have like, if you want a menu in a fantasy restaurant, you can generate that too with some scribbles and stuff on it. So you will not be able to read it, but it's everything you want to have. Like, you want to have a spell book. This meaning this is a spell book you find, and he will just create it for you in 5 minutes. Come on, it's super cool just to illustrate what. And there's some other things here. I saw some wonderful ones of the multiverse that are simply super cool. Let me see if I can find them here somewhere in the list. Here we go. So if you want to have a picture of the, hang on a second, of the multiverse, you can generate a quick and little cool sketch of the in-game sketch of the multiverse.
That is
Yeah,
nuts.
you can tell it to it looks should look like Leonardo da Vinci made it or something, and it's super cool. So yep, so it's an awesome tool. Yeah, and it's learning fast. It's only in beta, but I've seen in the month or two, a couple of months that I've been using it, it's already learned. It can only do cute little animals. It can't do big scary animals well yet, or big dragons, but it can do tiny cute little fairy dragons really super well. But it's learning. I bet given another month and people are feeding it dragons made by super cool fantasy artists, and he will learn them too.
Wow.
So it's learning exponentially fast. So it is one of these kind of really cool tools that is coming, and it will change a lot for a lot of us, including me down the line.
Well, I'm scared to feed it any of my maps, to be honest with you. I kind of don't want it learning what I do.
Yeah, but I'll feed it mine. I already have because I want it to learn to do
And
some text.
how did it do?
Not good yet. It can't understand a top-down perspective yet. It can only when you tell it top-down from the air, seen from above, you get it like looking down on it a little bit. So fancy postcards, but top-down, it doesn't understand that yet. But it will in not too distant future. It will. If I keep nagging at it enough, it will. That's the that's my
Well,
prediction.
don't teach it too fast, Anna.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I want it, but somehow I don't want it either. So it's yeah. Hello, Dave, Guild Superior, welcome, and thank you so much for all the wonderful comments and stuff. I'm doing splat maps, and Alyssa is working on one of them.
Hey, you're not meant to be there. Come on, get down.
Oh, you have a cat coming
I
checking
had
you
a
out.
little kitty cat sitting where
Mm-hmm.
he should not be sitting, and he's very cute, and he hopes that carries him a long way. And it does carry him a
Mm-hmm.
long way,
I'm sure it does.
but there are limits.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I still remember when I played Dungeons and Dragons online, that the MMO, and I had a cat that one of my cats back in Sweden lay down on the keyboard, and all of a sudden my character went into a tailspin and started throwing away and doing every spell, every effect it could do, and all the other ones on the raid wonder what the heck happened. And I say my cat lay down on the keyboard, and it cost me like 100,000 gold pieces or something of stuff
Oh
that I
God.
that I that I kind of expended in 5 seconds. That was funny. Okay, now I think I've done most of the bits here on this. No, we have this bit here. Yeah, I had familiars, cats back in Sweden, and I had Minnie for 10 years here, or almost, yeah, 10 years, but we had to put her down like a month ago, so Minnie is no longer here. So it's empty on the couch, unfortunately. Yeah, but she was a wonderful dog, and she loved when I was doing this and just sat down here and gave her treats, and she could lay and sleep next to me when I was working. Uh, yeah, thank you, Gribbly. Yeah, that happens when dogs are really old. So now I'm taking one color at a time. It's actually the easiest. Otherwise, I have a tendency of painting on the wrong layer. So I'm just looking where beaches are here. So I'm going to skip these bits and actually paint greenery all the way down and just concentrate on these areas that are sandy and beachy here, and the other ones will be rocky and green and stuff. And it is boring to do this extra step, but the good thing is that here you get to, this is the way to assure that I can use this, the data and the map, in other things like game engines and stuff. That's why I'm doing these extra steps. And it's also great because you it's extra work, but the end result really, it's easy. It's more work, but it's easier work. So that way I know what I'm doing more. Otherwise, will be you will do a lot of stuff, and I don't know, because I want to know if it's flat or not. When I use these, when I have these colors, I know that the area that I'm painting has a certain elevation and stuff, and I can use the things like a flat mask here, so I can go in here and see what areas are flat and flat enough to have. So I'm just enhancing what's already there, which is much easier than to go in and paint textures right away. So here is an area, for instance, that I will need to go in and fix a bit here. I'm actually getting lazy here, so I'm going to paint over these bits here. Now it's time to make it a little bit bigger, and then go in here and so, and then I'll go in here and remove the bits here. So now it's time to, and I'm going to rename this for sand, and then lock it so it doesn't move around, because otherwise I might screw up sometimes. Oops. There we go. And I want a fair bit of sand here out towards the river, because rivers kind of have that, they since they vary a lot between seasons in elevation level, there should be a fair bit of mud and sand banks on the sides of major rivers like this. Especially I think in a fantasy world where you don't have, modern day rivers are usually regulated. They have dams and stuff which stabilizes the flow. But in the fantasy worlds you have lots of, meaning the river might be much higher in spring than it is in fall or high summer. So that means that in during high summer there is probably a lot of mud and sand flats or sand banks on the side of it, and at spring the river is much higher, so to speak. We are now, there are very few big rivers in the world that are not regulated. I think almost all of them are. That means that a lot of that natural flow have disappeared. Okay, now we're just mapping along here. Now I need to, you're working on the, oh, those are
I'm almost
tiny.
finished the ink.
Yeah,
I'm pretty close to the ink now.
yeah.
And then I'm going to work on that, maybe putting a prison on the center island.
Mm-hmm. Do you often have to go back and ink some more, or change things once you go into coloring, or do you usually satisfied with that thing, or is it yeah?
It's rare. Typically, when I go into coloring, it's pretty locked down at that juncture.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I probably get more changes post coloring
Uh-huh.
because of commission work.
Okay, yeah. But you have it on separate layers still, so you can go in and remove the ink,
Yes,
or
I
tweak
keep
the colors.
everything on separate layers.
Yep, that's very smart.
I had one today, funny enough, from Luke Gygax. I can actually show you.
Oh, the one, yeah, I saw you had. Oh, yeah, that's the one I saw you on Twitter or Facebook or something. You posted. It looks fantastic.
So that fish building in the center there,
Yeah.
he approved a drawing of it that had much smaller fins. But once it was colored and in context of the city, it looked like a blimp.
Yeah, I was just. I thought it actually was a blimp, so to speak, or
well,
something.
And so after it was way worse. Mm-hmm. So after all of the coloring and everything, he was like, "It looks a bit like a blimp. Can we change that?"
Yeah.
And also after coloring, I had that road right there missing, and it's a labeled road on this like sketch. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of things sometimes where I have to come back and redo them.
Yep.
Or redo little bits, but it's if it's my work for me, it's pretty rare.
Oh yeah, but that's the difference. When you're working for a client, you often get like second thoughts, and when they know what, if they like it or not when they see it, but it's hard for them to explain it beforehand. So I think that's very typical, at least from my perspective too, that you get changes like that.
I had Cobalt Press once, though. I drew an entire city. I drew 3 cities for them at one point. They're the ones that they gave you credit for. Remember that little episode?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of those. Done, drawn, inked, colored, finished, labels. I'm out of here. And it was like, oh, we forgot. South of the gate, there's a complete marketplace and some extra buildings. I'm like, what? And that wasn't a small modification. That was a little bit more. Mm-hmm. That was like,
Yeah.
So you should have told me about that when we were still inking. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I feel was a little bit of a boo boo.
Yeah, but that I think is the hard to trying to explain to clients your work process. When are different things locked down? And from a writer perspective, they want to keep meaning. They can just change a sentence, and that changes everything. So
Right?
it's kind of
No, I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's it's really hard. So that communication is really hard, and
Well, can't you just draw some extra buildings
yeah,
and
and me like you put in some a river there, or we want some more mountains, and there should be a lake there or something like that. And I said, no, no, no. But you realize we locked down the elevation and the topography months ago. We can't change that now.
well, can't you just grab the river
Yeah.
and bend it a little
Oh,
bit so it
yeah.
goes down a different
Yeah.
valley?
I tell them it's possible on flat land, but once we have the valleys and topography, and that's it, so to speak. So, and that's hard for a writing editing team that simply want to change something in edit very late in the project, and that's really tough. Yeah. And that means that you also have a responsibility as a cartographer to communicate both your workflow when you can change things, and also saying, now I'm moving in next phase, all these things will be locked down, those features can't be changed. But it's also hard for someone who is not graphically and cartography thinking to understand what is topography, what is texture, what is certain features and stuff. They're like, oh, it's on the map. Can I change it? Why can I change that and not the other stuff? So it's kind of tricky. Yeah.
And I no, you raise a really good point. Like most of my clients are really cool. Like, and Luke was really chill with the "Can you make the fins bigger?" Because
Mm-hmm.
that's a small request.
Yeah.
But and you will know this after a few clients that ask for crazy things a little bit late in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You start to learn to communicate ahead of time.
Yeah.
This is locked down now.
Mm-hmm.
This is locked down,
Yep.
and you get better at managing the client
Oh yeah.
communications.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's something you have to learn. And also different publishers have different routines for how they interpret stuff like this, and different authors and different writers, different editors and stuff have different ways to understand and communicate back. Yeah, fear no change. I in some ways I wish I had something saying that no, I can't change anything. So what you see is what you get. But then they will be so worried about letting me do anything that yeah. So it's kind of tough. Yeah.
I did have one client who wanted me to draw a world map,
Mhm.
and it was the type of thing where he only had three continents sketched out for the entire world, and there were small continents, and there were also completely different scales. And at the point where he was asking me to rotate them and
Uh
move
oh.
them in the world, I was like, "Oh, this is a guy that doesn't understand his own world."
Mhm.
I'm literally sketching this out for him at this point,
That yeah.
but in final ink. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm
Yeah.
not, and I bailed on that project.
Yeah. But that is also something that I think when you do cartography, especially when you do large things like kingdoms and worlds and stuff for an author or a publisher, you might be the first, that might be the first time either them or you actually look at and start thinking of what the world looks like. So it's a huge responsibility, and it can sometimes almost come as a shock, either positive or negative, to an author or a publisher when they start seeing their world being visualized. And I can imagine if you've been writing on something for a decade and then someone's trying to visualize it, that is, it's a huge responsibility, and they can be some both wonderful, it can be received wonderfully, and it can also be panic. So it's kind of yeah. And I guess as soon as you work with something graphic towards a client, you have to understand the main reason they're hiring you is because they can't do it. They don't think that way. So that's why they hire you. So you do the graphic thinking for them. And yeah.
One of the one of the things I love to do, but no, it didn't bite me in the ass. I should have just really pushed back better on the client. But I love, like, if the client isn't sure, like, really of anything, the style, the colors, how to approach something,
Yeah.
I'll give them like a swatch Like, well, we could do
Mm-hmm.
the buildings like this,
Yep.
and I'm talking about more like regional maps.
Yeah.
Like cities could be done like this, or we could do it this style, or we could do it this style. Roads could be done this way, or
Mm-hmm.
this way.
Yep.
Rivers could be like this or this. And I will give them like a whole swatch, like you're picking out like room decoration,
Yep.
and I'll say mix and match. Tell me what you want.
Yep.
And I had a client do that with the wargaming map once, and so it's very sort of fixed. Look, I could do the forests like this, or they could spill outside of a hex, or they stay inside of the hex, yada yada yada. And he picked all of his styles, including what denotes elevation and what
Mm-hmm.
denotes like a lower area.
Yep.
I did the whole map, then he changed his mind.
Uh-oh.
And he wanted to go with a completely different set of swatch options. And I did it. And right there, I should have bailed. I
Yeah.
should have. And then I did the whole thing again. And it's like, great, I'm going to now send it to my, historian experts. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. You should have got him involved at the beginning. And
Yeah.
of course, he had changes. It
Mm-hmm.
went on and on
Yeah.
and on, that
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
That taught me a hell of a lot, that one.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's kind of really, yeah. It's important to and it's tough. Yeah.
It was so cute. He came back to me literally about a couple of years ago, said, "Hey, I want to do a second one." I'm like, "Nope, I'm out of here." Hit the eject button.
Yeah. But then you also get these kind of wonderful when they're like oohed and awed, and it's like, oh wow, and it's so cool. So there's a lot of positivity too when you do commissions too. So it's a
Oh
lot of
yeah,
fun. So
no,
so
there
yeah.
totally is.
Yeah,
You're right.
so we should not just talk about, we should talk about all the positives too. But they usually kind of talk about them naturally because they become the project that you can brag about and others can brag about, and they're being sold in books and box sets and stuff. So and it's beach painting day here right now. So yeah. Well, yeah. These are tidal flats. So this is, yeah, beach mud flats and stuff. Yep. So I'm adding the sandy bits, and then I'll go in and tweak the grassy bits here too, and some rocky bits and stuff. So because when I was a bit lazy when I did this splat map, so I'm going to go in and actually be more tight when I do this splat map, so I don't get these kind of fuzzy areas. So but I'd still had the old setting, so I need to go in and tweak them more. So I need to work on them a little bit here and tweak. But the good thing when you do this is that you get a lot of natural variation, because I'm using a lot of the pencil tool here. I have scattering and shape dynamics and stuff, and that means that I get a very kind of varied coastline, even more varied than the fractals of World Machine would create. And I get that precision because each of these pixels is 5 feet, so I can decide exactly where I want things. But I still have to pay attention to the height map, so I know that I can't go far into the green because it's too much slope, but I can go out here, but then that means that I will have to go in and adjust the water level. So I have to work within a few pixels of where I have the shoreline here. So yeah, and I will paint over these bits later here. So now I just need to go in here and tweak this little beach areas here. And then there will be, of course, when I tweak these in the final texture part, in the texture render. So go in here and tweak them. make it a little bit bigger brush here, and then I have some, oh there we go, I had some mud sticking through, so I'm going to paint over that bit and have a huge sand flat here. But here I'm going to be lazy now, and I'm actually going to go in here and paint over these bits here. Oops, I'm going to undo that bit there. I'm going to save some of those green pixels there. There we go. And when you then go in and add extra complexity on the texture level, this coastline will look really good at the end. I did that further east for a bit, and I'm really happy with the results. So I'll just do the same thing here. I'll do a little bit of opening in here. There we go. Okay, now it's time to paint in the sand here. Go on sand level. I should probably save now because I've been working for like half an hour or more. Then I can stretch my fingers a bit too. That's also important. And this stream works. We only dropped 30 frames the last hour, so that's good. Not even a tenth of a percentage. Oh, is that tiny little sheds and stuff on the island?
What, here? No.
Oh,
No.
yeah, that's a fortification. I can.
Yeah, I'm redrawing part of this fortification and gonna do the island. Then we are done.
Cool. Yeah.
And we've got half an hour left on the stream, so
yep.
I'm pretty confident I can get this thing wrapped up. This will be Wompham.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
The Greyhawk community will be thrilled and overjoyed when they see that Wompham map. I'm pretty sure that will be the top city map ever made for Greyhawk, in my opinion. Yep.
I know Schlee's Greyhawk.
Yeah, cool. But yours will be cooler. Yep.
I think I could do a pretty good job of Greyhawk. I think I could.
We should do Greyhawk, you and me together. I think that could be super cool. We should do that in a couple of years. We should tackle the beast.
I would be down with that.
Yep, we should tackle the beast. Meaning we should work on I can start doing most of the research with the community, and then start working on the terrain and stuff. And when we have the terrain, you can fill in all the buildings and the streets and stuff like that. And then we can kind of work collectively on. I think that will be a super fun project to do. Hello, Enoch Pratt. Welcome. Yeah, I'm working on my Shieldlands map on the splat map part here today, and Alyssa is working on Wompham. I love that D20 dice. That's awesome. When we streamed enough, I might even speak Twitch, so I can understand what's going on in the chat, because there's so many things that just go past and I don't even know what it is. have that. I have a buffer thingy in my. Let's see here if it's catching up here. That's why it's good. Oh, it's saving. That's why it's. It takes a while, so I shouldn't start working while I'm saving. Yep. So it's a little bit tricky, but that's the good thing of having one stream computer. There we go, and one work computer. So now I can actually continue here. There we go. So now we take a big blob here, so we can just do this, and then just go in and paint over the ocean here a bit. I need to clean my screen because occasionally I see things that are, but they're just, the screen is not clean. So I need to clean that up afterwards here. No, I'm not using the same touchscreen. I'm actually using one of these Wacom that is not a screen. I have a Wacom screen, but it's not anywhere near as fancy as Alyssa's. I have a 16-inch screen that you can actually sit and draw on, but it only has 1080 resolution, and it's sitting down, and I don't like to lean over too much. I actually like to sit back and do, and what I do doesn't require that much precision. I can just blow it up big and do it. If I get one pixel here and there wrong, it's usually not much of a problem. So this doesn't require that much precision. So I'm actually drawing on this thing and looking at the screen in front of me. But I have one of these that occasionally there are things that I want to, like roads and stuff, I want to draw it with, and buildings in a city. When I do those things, then, and dungeon maps, then I might want to have that extra super precision, and then I draw it on the screen. But it's only I have the cheapest little version, not the really cool version that Alyssa has.
Oh, I don't know. They get cooler than mine now. I bought mine 8 years ago.
Okay, well,
and they've got a much bigger, fancier one than mine. That costs a lot more bloody money too.
Yeah, they have, what is it, like 30 inches or something like that, I think.
Yeah, like 32 inches, something like that. It's a big boy.
Yeah, it cost like $4,000 or $3,000 or something.
It's a good chunk of change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw it at SIGGRAPH 3 years ago when I was at SIGGRAPH in LA, and they showed.
There is an alternative make Huion.
Yeah.
Huion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's easily half or a third of the price.
Yeah.
But a lot of their screens don't have touch on it. And I love touch. That's how they get part of their savings.
Yeah. And there might be driver issues, but I think most of them are probably weeded out by now. So in that sense, they're probably working well as well. So yeah. But Wacom is really cool, that's for sure.
Yeah, I just wish they were a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, they are moving up the scale, and as when they get more and more competitors downscale, so to speak, then they're moving up the quality ladder and increase the prices significantly.
And I'll tell you what, their customer service doesn't match, because I had a problem with this one once, and it took me weeks to get a response.
Oh
You
yeah.
you know, it's one of those
Mhm.
you put in a ticket,
Yeah.
you wait, you hope someone's eventually going to look at it,
Yeah.
and that was most frustrating because I worked. This is my business machine here.
Mhm.
It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Anyone that's got one, it's a lot of money, and it's like going to
Yeah.
be their business
Yeah.
machine. People don't buy these
Mhm.
just for sketching because of
Yeah.
giggles, and for them to be, I don't know, real slow on their
Yeah.
response was
I used,
disappointing.
yeah, my old laptop was actually a Wacom with a built-in screen so you can draw on. And that one, I had some issues with that one, and I agree it was not the best of customer service. They helped, but it took a few days, and there was some hassle back and forth a little bit. So it was not the most streamlined. Now that was a really expensive one, and it was really cool though. It was like 8 years ago I bought it, and it was had a separate keyboard, and then it was a all built in one, and it was fairly thick. I think I have it sitting here somewhere. I don't know where I have it, but it's sitting somewhere, and it has a Wacom pen and all that integrated into it.
I feel if you're going to charge premium rates, you need to have some kind of premium customer support. It
Yeah.
it needs to
Mhm.
it needs to be comparable.
Yep. But the that one, it was not bad. And now they're having, now I have a Lenovo with a pen and digitizer built in that is in some ways cooler than the Wacom, but in other ways it's not, because the Wacom tablet was better with the pen and stuff, but as a computer, well, it was for its time, it was awesome. I must say that for something 8 years ago, it was so 7, 8 years ago, it was super super cool. So I must say, yeah, it was not bad for its time. Now I just need to zoom out, because sometimes you need to zoom out so you know where in the heck in the world you are. You get lost here somewhere. So yeah. Then I can put this to render for. No, I can't, because I'm. Well, I guess I can, because I'm going to record a podcast tomorrow morning, but I don't need this machine for that. I can do it on the streaming machine, so that way I can start a render tonight.
What's the podcast, young lady?
It's Nerd Podcast Radio.
You ever been on that one before?
Oh yes, there's a couple of my friends that runs it. So they used to live down here, and we used to game together, and now a couple of them still lives here, but Brian Darnell, that is was one of the founders of it. He moved up with his wife to Oregon, to Portland. So yeah, yeah, not far from where you live. So I was up there a couple of years ago, and 3 years ago when they got married, and drove up there and then back again. Yep. But you weren't home or something, because I reached out to you, but you weren't there those few days I was up there.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
Yep.
I have such a terrible memory. I don't remember that.
That was 3 or 4 years ago. See, my memory is not that good either. So yeah, but it was long before COVID. So yeah, I drove 2,000 miles in a week, 2,300 miles or something in a week. Yep.
Wonder where I was. It's actually hard for me to imagine being anywhere nowadays because,
Exactly. We don't go anywhere.
screw humans.
Yeah. Now we just sit at home. But back in those days, you actually went places, conventions and whatnot. So yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Portland is a beautiful city.
Uh, was.
Okay.
It's having some challenges.
Well, a lot of cities have challenges these times, but
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of graffiti. There's a lot of homelessness.
Uh oh.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of neglect of the city. Oh, just trash.
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse and worse and worse.
LA is the same way. Has a lot of homelessness and stuff. That a lot of really big cities in economically successful areas have a lot of problems because the level of the cost of living goes up faster than a lot of people can cope with it, and a lot of system can cope with it. So it's a lot of problems. So it seems to be kind of global. Most big cities that are really successful have issues like that. But that, I guess, is something for another stream, so I should not go in politically here. Yep. Okay, now we need to paint some more sand here and fill up the
I don't think
here.
that we're ever going to have a political stream. Can,
No,
can you imagine just how terrible that would be? But no.
yeah, exactly. I can imagine me go on like crazy about it, but then people should tell me to shut up and talk about it somewhere else in some other forum. Yep. We can talk about fantasy politics though. That's another thing in fantasy worlds. Yep. But right now it's coastlines for me here and sandbanks and stuff. So I need to zoom out and get an overview so I'm not painting. Yeah, I'm still good here. So this could be a lot of sand out here. So I should actually paint in. That's so overview is important so you have a clue, because sometimes you get so detail oriented and so down and gritty in here so you have no clue how that affects the bigger picture, so to speak. So often zoom out often, and so make sure that what you do, it fits in the global picture, so to speak. It's really important. So we're going to talk about world building tomorrow morning on the Nerd Podcast Radio. So I put some ideas and things that I thought about when it comes to world building. Oh, Angaman, you mean my the this map? This map, yeah, it's the this is actually. Hang on a second. I'm going to show where in the world I'm working, so it will be easier to see where it is. So I'm going to take. So it's actually that part here is now it needs to go in, and here we go. So the part that will be rendered in full texture down the line here is actually this bit here. So it's this bit here was the first bit I did for my campaign, and here is the second bit. So it's actually from here to about here, and then up here. So this is the bit that this is. So if you zoom out, this bit here. Yep, shield lens. Yep. So now I'm getting the sandbank. So I'm going to do this little muddy sandy peninsula out here and fill that in now, and these little sandbanks here. So first I'm going to take a fairly small pencil here and go over the edges here. Then I can just fill it in the middle with using a much bigger pencil. And I'm glad that the stream, we only had one hiccup in the beginning and then it worked again. So yeah, I was worried there that we would have issues the whole time, but that was only the first 10 minutes in we had one issue, but since then it's worked. Oh, that's the scale and stuff. Oh, you need to paint stuff under it, or
Oh, yeah. So I'm working on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
These numbers are obviously going to change.
Yeah.
Those buildings behind, that was my grid to calculate a population of 20,000.
Okay.
So they were my single occupancy buildings.
Yeah, you need to have that standard building so you can start. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything was kind of measured up that.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. Yep. Okay, now I can go in here and use a much bigger brush to fill in the caps. And now I work with these colors on separate layers, and then I will just mash all the layers together and when I export the final splat map. Because the idea of having a splat map is that it's much cheaper data-wise to have one with many colors than to have lots of different masks stacked on top of each other, because then each mask will take up as much data as one splat map, and the splat map can then kind of supply mask. There will be the equivalent of 10-15 masks, so that saves on both disk space and loading times and resources for the tool that you're using. So yeah, so it's in that way much easier. And colors is also more pleasing for the eye because it's much easier to understand different colors than just to work in everything in black and white. It becomes very difficult to wrap your brain around stuff like that. To have mask for single things, it's okay, but once you put them together, it's just a mishmash of grayscale everywhere, and my brain can't handle that, and so I get lots of weird issues with it. So this is a much better way. And I'm sitting with one hand on my keyboard when I change the brush size, or the pencil in this case, but the pencil, the size of my painting, so I can scale that up and down on the fly. But that also means that when I'm set that like that for half an hour, I need to shift my position, otherwise my back goes really bad. The good thing is that I'm using my left hand for when I'm using a Wacom and a pen, and I use my right hand when I'm using a mouse. So that way I can actually, I get carpal tunnel with the mouse sometimes, and then when I sketch on Wacom I get carpal tunnel with my left hand. So that way I make sure that I have carpal tunnel in both hands, or at least I can shift it a bit. So sometimes I use my mouse with my left hand too, and I can draw fairly okay with my right hand too. So I'm fairly ambidextrous. Not perfect, but so sometimes I just switch and use the Wacom with my right hand. It looks good. What you doing there? But I must remember that this is not technically not tidal flats because it's a lake, so there is no real tides. But they are more like seasonal tides. The lake probably varies a lot in the level of the lake. Kind of when the spring flood comes, then the lake kind of a lot of this disappears, and as it dries out during the summer, then these will be bigger, so to speak. These mud sand flats, oops, they will be bigger. So it's more like seasonal tides in a way. More than it's not something that changes in a 20 or per 6 hours like tides in the ocean does. So yeah, I think I can probably do all the sand on this part of this side of the river all the way to the outer estuary in the last 7 minutes here. I'm pretty sure I can manage that. Then I've done a good shift here.
And I will be right there with you because I think I will have the scale nailed down.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean this is gonna be up to coloring, I think.
Mm-hmm. How long is that part of, meaning how much of the overall project is sketching and how much is coloring and
I figure about 2 months sketching, 1 month coloring.
so coloring is
One.
about half the effort of the sketching, so to speak.
A lot of the time,
Yeah.
yeah. Or it just tends to go quicker if that makes sense because you're
Mm-hmm.
doing blankets of color a lot
That's
of the
true.
time.
Yeah, and you don't have, meaning now you've done most of the thinking.
Right,
Yeah, so the
right.
design of the city is kind of nailed down when you've done the inking part. So when you get to color, then you've already made the decision. You know what the building is supposed to be, stuff. I guess in most cases. What's the next? Is it done? Is coloring the last step, or is there any other things to do before kind of?
No, I think that's going to be largely it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just get this 300 on here. I do have to add a title, a key,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
some numbered locations.
Yeah.
Um, and I often do that after coloring because I can then ensure. Okay, I like to put numbers on colored circles, so I
Yeah.
like the color of the circle to contrast
Yeah.
with with the
Mm-hmm.
background.
Yeah. You need to
So
have that theme match the color wise, and
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So I'll probably, I don't know. We'll see. I've got to do that step, but that's a small step compared to
Yeah.
everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're good, girl. I think we're good.
Yeah. Awesome.
The hardest thing on this is going to be, and I hate this. I don't know about you. but you put so much love into the canvas that is your map, individual pixel details, and then you have to start throwing labels and icons and stuff on it.
Yeah.
I hate doing
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep, me too. I want a clean slate, and then that's something for that's when I run it in my adventures and stuff. I want a clean map to look at, and yeah. But I guess also because once I've done with the map, I'm intimate with it. I don't need the labels on the map. I kind of know. I remember I wanted that in a list on the side or something, so I put it in. So yeah, so I want a clean satellite picture and not a lot of labels, but sometimes it's necessary, and also especially for if it's something for others to consume. If it's just for me and my game and nothing else, then there will hardly be any labels at all. But I can totally get it if others who have spent zero time familiarizing themselves with the map, of course they need labels and stuff. So and published maps and stuff.
It's like even just positioning this compass rose.
Mm-hmm.
If I put it down, I feel the best position for this compass rose is in the bottom left corner.
Yeah.
Because if I move it over here, I don't know, maybe there could work.
Yep.
It doesn't cover anything critical. But even just over here, there's this little tiny detail where we drew this little water inlet, and that
Yeah.
came from a show like 1 or 2
Yeah, you don't
weeks
want
ago.
to cover
Remember?
that up. Yeah.
Right, I don't want to cover it up. So it's like there's
But
always a
would
little detail that I don't want to cover.
yeah, but do you will there be a non-labeled version as well to without any of the frills or whatever you call it, any of
I
the
think we could do that,
yeah,
right?
I
I
think
think we could
there's
have a raw
yeah,
version,
but
no
just
labels.
your logo on it somewhere and
Yeah,
nothing else, so to
yeah.
speak. Yeah.
But no, maybe I'll put it down in the bottom right here.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where the least is going on.
Yeah, you need to have damage control of that, so to speak, so it doesn't screw up more than necessary. I don't see any more chat, so I'm worried, but we get green and no missed frames, so or dropped frames, so this should work. Yeah. People have got tired of me just doing boring splat map all the time here, so I should do some fun heraldry or something next week, so something that is more fun to watch. This is kind of tedious, but right now
Sometimes it's
yeah.
necessary. I get it though, because it's like when I'm labeling like gaslight or something, no one wants to watch me labeling gaslight.
Yeah.
It's necessary, but it's
Mm-hmm.
tedious.
Yep. Oh, hi, Sam. Hello, welcome. Good to see you again. Thank you for coming in. Even if we're kind of the last legs here, but we're trying to get our respective stuff done before the end of the show here. So yeah, so I want to get to the end of the shoreline here. So yep, no problem, Sam. I'm so glad you're coming in. It will make for good better statistics. So yeah, better stats for the show. There we go. Put some stuff in here. And mostly I have only done half the or distance, but I don't have that area here. I already fixed this bit here, and here is some rocky bits here, so there is no beaches that part, so I'm only having a little bit here, and then I'm almost done. So I think well, it's only a minute, so we can go over like 10 minutes or 5 minutes or something here, so go over a few minutes to let me a chance to fix this here. Now I just need to look at the flat mask here. I should just do it like this. And then do some green on the other end here. Well, there is something we should kind of tie it in there. And now I'm going to do right away here. I'm just gonna fill in the green in the background here real quick, because I can't stand not to see that one done. So there we go. here we have a little bit of need to do this little sand reef here in the there will be some greenery there. Then I have that bit here. Here I'm not going to do the whole. I'm going to put in some lake bits. I'm going to expand the lake as well. So, yeah, we were just discussing that, Michael, that the to have a version without any labels and stuff. So yeah, so that's up to Alyssa and Greyhawk Online to figure that out. But
We're definitely, I think, going to have a version because I'm going to release this version on my Patreon.
Okay. Yep.
So my patrons will get they'll get the smorgasbord. My patrons will get the black and white version, the colored version, the PSD.
Okay. Awesome.
Layered and unlayered. So my
Yeah.
patrons will get the whole 9 yards. What Greyhawk Online chooses to release themselves, that's up to them.
Yep.
But my patrons will get the whole choice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So you should definitely be a patron of Alyssa's. Yep. And by the way, it might be time to put, I think most people know this, but I'm going to put the links to my stuff in here as well. So just in case, and that way people, anyone who is interested, who hasn't signed up and stuff, I can put in, there's the link to all my stuff.
For all things Greyhawk, back Anna and I on our patrons.
Yep.
Our Patreons, and we will shower you with Greyhawk goodies.
I would trying. Yep. Okay, now I think that is almost done here, so I need to go in here and just get that over. And now,
this is a good one of them. This is a good one of them.
Yeah,
I've already seen 2 other iterations of this city, and I feel like I've come out swinging.
Oh yeah, definitely. And wait until we get to see that one colored. Wow.
Yeah, I'm happy with this.
And now I'm doing the easy bit. I'm just going to go over here and then I get it here. Oops, I need to. What the heck? I can keep that. Now we're down to.
I do want to draw some little boats. I do want to draw some little boats and ships.
Of course.
That's one thing I do want to do.
Yeah. It's a river city, so it should, of course, have some boats and stuff. now I think it's time for me to consider this northern coast done. This part of the river, the northern side of the coastline of the river is now cleaned up. So then I just have these a lot of these this kind of archipelago here north of the Scragholm island. So yep. Thank you, Sam. This is yep. So this is the splat map. So then I go in and render the textures again, and then work some magic in Photoshop on the final textures, and I think it will look really, really cool. So now it's time to save this so we don't lose the last 40 minutes or something like that of the stream. Yep.
Yeah, I just realized I actually hadn't saved my map at all for the last 2 hours.
Yeah. And have you turned off autosave, or do you have autosave on?
No, it does have autosave on. It's just I rarely trust it, but yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
I
but
do.
me too. But when you work on really large files, it turns that off, because if it gets too tedious, and then it automatically doesn't, or it turns it off. It gets a little notification up there that it's turned off, because if when it goes over a certain size. So yeah. So now I'm saving this, and I guess that will be the last I would do for the stream, but it's good. I got a good shift in here, so yeah.
So this only took me about 24 hours to get it to this stage.
Yeah?
So that's not too bad.
No, it's cool. You've done, yeah. I worked more than 24 hours to get this one done, but this is only the second one that I'm doing, so it's kind of a second prototype. So the third one will go in less than half that time. And once I've done 10 of them, then it will go much faster, because then I know all the steps that needs to be done. So I worked out the kinks. The first one took 100 hours or more, and the second one will take, so yeah.
Yeah, my super detailed maps typically 60, 70, 80 hours. For they're not my T goal, which is 200, 300. But
Yeah.
I hit around 80
Mm-hmm.
fairly typically.
Yeah.
I think 24 on ink is pretty good for me.
Yeah.
That's probably going to make this about a 50-hour map complete.
That is fantastic work for 50 hours. That's amazing. Yeah.
That's not too shabby.
No, it's super, super cool. Yeah.
I think we both did some great work tonight, Hannah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really. Yep. This is good. So I've upped my notch here, and I've got something that Jay likes. So now we can move in and consider the terrain for the Altamira is nailed down. So I'm going to start a render. I just have to both look at the thermometer and look at my calendar and see where I can run my computer for 2 days straight, and hope for the best, so to speak. I should not do that when the temperature looks to be 110 degrees. That's not the good idea.
No.
So I should wait until it gets down to. But but this time of year I might have to wait too long. So I might just have to bite the bullet and do it. So I might do it but I'll probably wait until Monday to do it, I think. We'll see. Yeah.
What a good night's work for both of us, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you everyone that stopped by and cheered on us and gave us all the wonderful comments and stuff. We all love you, and thank you so much for coming. And we'll do this next week, and we have the fantasy mapping show in. Come on.
Next week?
That's next week. Okay.
Next week?
Yep, that's next week.
And then we have the special
Exactly.
Call
Yep.
of Cthulhu game
Yep.
the following week
Yep.
with Matt Ryan, the chief cartographer of Chaosium.
Yep. So we will do some Cthulhu and stuff. So this mapping live show will not be until 3 weeks, but there will be other cool stuff. And there will be on Sunday there will be some sort of gabbing show. I forgot what the topic was, but that's something that I will be on and stuff. And there will be a Nerd Podcast radio show coming out later. We will record it tomorrow morning, and that I will be on talking world building and stuff. So thank you everyone, and see you soon.